from the Labor government is voice, 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 and not these practicalities. What do you make of this, Daisy?
It's just so sad, Andrew. I know that's stating the bleeding obvious, but to see this happening in schools at Alice Springs, it really is dreadful. And as you mentioned, like, we're not hearing anything about the practical side of things from the government. And you know what? I think that is really, really deliberate, Andrew. I think, for instance, the reason that Anthony Albanese spent more time at the tennis that he did in Alice Springs is that he knows that if he draws attention to these really dreadful and practical problems in Alice Springs, whether it's in the schools, whether it's little children running around at midnight, whether it's what happens when you lift the alcohol bans, the general public will look at it and think, hang on a minute, how on earth can this advisory body just magically fix all of these terrible very, very physical and real problems they have? If he knows that if people see that, they'll look at the government and go, really, this flagship policy of yours? Okay, how is it going to work? Give us details of how it is going to actually solve these problems. And the issue is, Andrew, that they can't, and it won't. So my heart bleeds for these poor little children in Alice Springs having to go through this. And really, the Prime Minister has a lot to answer for in ignoring all of this.
Well, the whole thing about the voice, there are hundreds of voices, hundreds of Aboriginal organisations around the country. If they speak up against this, how about they do that? Instead, we see this misapplying of all these resources to a voice. You've got a voice now, use it, say something about this and do something about it. James, your view?
Look, firstly, give that principal a medal and buy him a cold beer. Good on him for stepping in to protect that child. And as for the other children, they should be charged with assault. But I don't think we do Indigenous children any favours by telling them that their behaviour is the result of racism that they've suffered or the English landing in Botany Bay 200 years ago. And as for a voice in Parliament in Canberra, that will do nothing to solve issues like this, which clearly exist in some Indigenous communities and are cultural issues that need to be addressed on the ground, not by some political body in Canberra.
There's so many Aboriginal organisations around. Do it now. Thank you for your time, James Macpherson, Daisy Cousins. Great chat.